करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतां परमानन्दमाधवं. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much everyone for joining today, taking out valuable time from your routine on Saturday weekend. So kudos to you and thanks to all of you. So we are reading second chapter, 7th shloka we will read today. Please repeat after me. कार्पण्य दोषोपहता स्वभावा
कार्पण्य दोषोपहता स्वभावा
पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढचेता
पृच्छामि त्वं धर्म सम्मूढचेता
यश्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे
यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे
शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमा त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
Okay. So anybody who's available in a position to read the translation?
Yes, I can read.
Okay, please.
Translation. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Purport. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity, and therefore, it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. Next.
So we can discuss a little bit because it's a long purport. So we'll just discuss these two paragraphs which we just read, and we'll go to the next. Okay. So Arjun was in the same chain of thoughts which he was continuing. And what were those thoughts? That he is not able to decide which is the right thing, whether to fight or not to fight. And he gave so many reasons previously, and he was putting his perspective. However, now he is completely taking shelter of the Lord. He is actually sharing what is going on in his heart and seeking for the help of Krishna. So this is the best approach one can take when one is in confusion or in need of help or wanting guidance. And this is the best kind of prayer one can seek to the Lord. So Arjuna is first of all seeing his situation, that I'm confused. He's acknowledging that, and he's feeling he has lost the composure, and he's asking Krishna, he completely is trusting Krishna now. You tell me what is best for me, because you know better than me what is best. So you tell me. And I am Shishyasteham, Shishya. I am ready now as your disciple. And I take complete shelter of you. Completely I'm surrendering. Whatever you guide me, you instruct me, that is going to be the best thing for me. So many times people go for praying to the Lord in the temple, different other places, but they don't necessarily understand that God is not just the order supplier. They go to the temple and they want and want and want, but they don't necessarily, majority of people, not all of them, but majority of the people don't understand that better than we thinking what is best for us, ask the best person to guide us so that we do what is best for us. So that guidance which the Lord can provide, the help which the Lord can do, He knows what is better. We may have certain calculations and certain desires based upon which we feel something may be good for us, but it may not necessarily be best for us. And it may not even be good for us. We may appear to, like, it may appear to us that it's good, but it may not be. But God knows what is actually best for us. So when we take shelter of the Lord and seek His guidance in this way, then we actually are ready to to get the highest spiritual realization, guidance, and the Lord connects us with the right source. He actually guides us from both within and without. And Prabhupada is explaining here in the purport that in this material world, somehow or the other, sooner or later, we are put into situations of confusion and perplexity. Perplexity means we are not sure what to do, right? Perplexed, kind of confused. So it happens to everybody. Now, it's a duty for everyone who is perplexed or confused to seek for the right guidance. And for spiritual guidance, one must have a spiritual master, spiritual guru, who can give proper guidance. And based upon those principles, we can guide our life. And this is very common in Vedic tradition. We see even the kings, they used to have gurus. Lord Ram had guru, Lord Krishna had guru, and those gurus were not just teachers teaching material science, but also guiding them in spiritual science. And when God Himself came as Rama and Krishna, He showed that need of guru is necessary for everyone. What to say of other people who were not the Supreme Lord, like Pandavas? They were great personalities, but they also were having the Guru. So like that, Arjun in this situation is taking shelter of Krishna and asking him that I am your disciple, you are the Guru, give me shiksha, give me guidance. Prabhupada is taking example that forest fire blazes without being set by anyone. So in the forest, we recently had a big huge fire here in LA, and forest fires are very common, and lot of time, energy, resources, money gets wasted in this. So how does it happen? It happens on its own, spontaneously, by the rubbing in the heat, by the rubbing of the leaves, and different other theories are there. But it's not that it's something which is happening because of somebody. It's naturally happening. And similarly, it's natural for any human being to be in state of perplexity, in state of confusion, in state of dilemma, and therefore one must be guided with spiritual principles under the guidance of a spiritual master, which will help us in giving the right direction to our life. So here it is mentioned, Vedic wisdom advises that in order to solve perplexities of life, to understand the science and solution, one must approach spiritual master who is in disciplic succession. So what is the quality of such guru? A lot of people can be guru. How to get a good guru? That guru who is himself got trained in a bona fide sampradaya, that is called as disciplic succession. There are so many different successions where the knowledge is transferred from one generation to another by the guru who is himself exemplary. He is exemplifying those qualities, and by seeing that guru, the disciples learned. Like in the past, gurukuls were there where spiritual knowledge was also given along with material knowledge, and the students will live there and see the guru, how his lifestyle is, how his whole activities are. By that, they will also imbibe those qualities. Not just by hearing. It's not just the guru is just telling them, but actually also showing. That's why such exemplary gurus, they are called as acharya. Acharya means who show by their own acharan. Acharya. And Prabhupada is saying here, a bona fide guru is supposed to know everything. All the spiritual knowledge one must have. Conclusion of all the knowledge. So one should not be in confused situation, but by the help of the guru should elevate. So we'll read the next two shlokas and then we'll discuss further. Next two paragraphs of the purport. Is there anybody available to read this?
I
Next.
can read.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Just know that I'm reading over my phone, so.
No problem. Take your time.
The Kripanyas or miserly persons waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, we have to read the above paragraph.
Okay. I'm sorry. Who is the man in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In the Vrahad Dranyaka Upasinad 3.8.10, the perplexed man is described as follows. Yovad itat aksharam. I might be wrong on that, sorry.
I can read this. Yova etad aksharam gargi aviditva smal lokat preti sa kripanaha.
All right, thank you. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human and who thus quits this world like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. This human form of life is a most valuable asset for the living entity who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is the Brahmana, or he who is intelligent enough to utilize this body to solve all the problems of life. Ya itat aksharam jag. Sorry, Prabhuji, you have to go.
Gargi viditva smal lokat preti sa brahmana. So basically these are contrasting natures of two different category of people which are described here. So this is from Brihad Aranyak Upanishad, and what is mentioned here is what are the qualities of a kripana and what are the qualities of a brahmana. Kripana means narrow-minded, miser or kanjus in Hindi. And brahmana means broad-minded. So kripana is the one who has so much but is using very, very sparingly. Kanjus. Like a rich man who has lots of money, lots of properties, everything. But then he is, not wearing proper clothes, trying to save money by not using soap for bathing. So things which are not befitting. So that person is conjuice. So why is this word used here? Kripana. So this is the word is used here is because those who are got human form of life, they should be very very careful about using the human form of life for spiritual advancement. If one is not doing it for spiritual advancement, then their human life will get wasted. Just like money, you have so much money in the bank, you have $1 billion, but then you are using only pennies, you're using just few paise, few rupees or few cents to conduct yourself. That is not a great thing. You can do good to you can do good to society, you can do good to others. So you should actually be broad-mindedly utilizing that wealth. Similarly, human form of life is actually for spiritual advancement of ourselves and other people. It is like much more than $1 billion, and it is so very rare to achieve the human life. And those who are utilizing it by understanding the scriptures, taking shelter of Guru, solving the problems and the confusions in the life, the material perplexities, not just for themselves but for the whole human society, they are actually Brahmana, they are broad minded. And those who are not using it for that purpose and using it for just sense gratification or enjoying for the senses, sense gratification to some extent is necessary. We have to maintain our body, we have to maintain our human life, so we have to take care of ourselves, our family, our society, our country, our nation. That's okay. But one who only focuses on that and the spiritual life is sacrificed, that person is actually missing out on the greatest benefit. So that person is called as Kripana. Does it make sense? Is this paragraph clear?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go to the
I
next.
just have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So sometimes it feels like, sometimes it feels like the words that are used, it's definitely very deep, but at the same time, it seems like the implications are very different. Like miser, and the way you explained it, of course, very clear, but what it implies at the surface is not quite what it implies coming from Bhagavad Gita's point of view, or the way it is implied here. Is that, am I interpreting it correctly, or am
No,
I
you're
wrong?
right. You're right, actually, because here, if you see, um, Krishna says that the knowledge has to come from the right channels and the right sources. Otherwise, we will not get it properly. Otherwise, we'll misunderstand. So, if you see the first shloka of this word, it says of this shloka, first word is Karpanya dosho.
Mm.
So dosha is weakness, karpanya is miserly weakness, छोटी सोच, miserly weakness, कंजूस जैसे होते हैं. And he is thinking that because of this miserly weakness, I'm actually suffering. And Prabhupada is explaining how this miserly weakness is actually explained in the other Upanishad. So he's making the connection and he's explaining how broad minded and narrow minded thinking can affect the person to take different paths. One will be more spiritual, one will be more, material. And these kind of understanding and application becomes very difficult for person who does not know all the scriptures properly. Prabhupada had that because he was trained in the disciplic succession, and he was himself a very, very exemplary scholar and devotee. In fact, there was prediction that Krishna said that my general, my Senapati will come and he will be able to take the science of Bhagavad Gita in different countries. So this was already predicted in the past. But you are right that if somebody does not have that understanding, then they will actually get confused. They will get into different misleading path. And honestly speaking, if you see, that is what happened to us, especially when we were colonized by Mughals and by Britishers. Many of the teachings actually were destroyed. You know, the famous universities, Nalanda, Takshashila, all these great places where
Mm-hmm.
they were universities, they were burned. So many books and not of knowledge were burned. And then our teachings were uh, interpreted and wrongly translated, and they were popularized as blind faith, superstition, so on and so forth. And that is why what Britishers did, what not just destroy the culture, but actually destroy the very foundation on which people had the faith in the culture. And that is why we see so many people being clueless about their own culture, religion, and tradition and their heritage. But great personalities like Prabhupada and so many others, they are able to bring it to the life of people, by which not just Indians, but all over the world, Americans, Europeans, Chinese, Russian, they are able to connect to their very soul, and they are able to find that happiness and bliss. So that's why this knowledge actually is so relevant, helpful, no matter whatever background you're from. And if you use it your intelligence and logic, you can actually understand, no matter whether you have no training of Sanskrit or you have some training of Sanskrit. Either way, if you follow this and have a nice, intelligent, peaceful conversation with advanced devotees, we'll be able to actually get to so much depth of Bhagavad Gita, and it will be revealed to us.
Mm-hmm. With that, another question comes to my mind, if you don't mind. Maybe I'm taking too much time here. I don't know.
We all love questions.
Okay, thank you. So then, how would you differentiate the meaning of this word in the context of pro- being protective and being miser? Like, so I'm trying to get a more comprehensive idea of the word. So if you are
Which
trying to,
word? Which word can you
so
tell?
I'm talking about this miser word that has been miserly people, or
Hmm?
yeah, miserly individuals, and how who live in perplexity, but yet they are, if you're not investing into the spirituality, then you are, I think it is bringing in the context of spirituality. But I was thinking, like, sometimes human have tried to protect knowledge, so they have thought that we are not going to spread it because it is open to interpretation and it can go wrong. So how, so then I'm thinking, like, how can we differentiate in the context of miser? Now, being miser is not good, but it can be open to interpretation, and it can imply that if someone is miser in some context, it might be also good. So how
Yeah.
can we, yeah, how can we
So
differentiate the interpretation of this word as being protective and at the same time being conjuice, as you were saying?
yeah. So protection means, first of all, one has to apply this knowledge in their own life. So if you are applying it in your own life, that is the first step, that you are actually not miser. Second thing comes whom to give it to. And just like different colleges, they have a limited capacity and they select the best of the best who will come to their college. Similarly, different um, teachers or gurus or academies, they have their own ways by which they decide whom I should be able to give this knowledge to. And some don't teach. Some only focus on themselves. Especially, you see the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas, they have to have a guru, but they don't have to have disciples. They don't have to teach. But Brahmanas are the ones who are expected to teach. So depending upon, and in that also, depending upon what level is the Brahman. If they are very advanced, then yes, they can be the acharyas. If they are not so much, they may not necessarily be able to really do a widespread of the knowledge. So miser, first thing is saving yourself. If one is actually taking to spiritual path and understanding the scriptures, learning the scriptures, implementing the scriptures in their life, they can actually say, or even trying to do that, they can actually see that yes, I am actually not confused. Why? Because my human form of life is like the immense wealth, billions of dollars, and now I am taking some out of 24 hours. So time is money, right? So 24 hours, you're utilizing 1 hour, half an hour, how much ever you are utilizing in your spiritual basis, that will give you an idea. Okay, I'm not using pennies, I've started to use more than that, right? To the extent we are able to do it, to the percentage we are able to invest in our spiritual life. And spiritual life includes self study, discussing with other people, meditation, different aspects of spirituality which we are trying to learn and imbibe, and seeing it in the world, in different places, how spirituality is applicable. One of one of the devotees I was listening to the other day, and he was mentioning every night he writes down what shlokas of Bhagavad Gita he saw on that day. Saw in the sense happening around him with different people, different interactions, different lessons, different things in the news, different places. He actually sees the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita being applied. So every
That's
day
vast.
he has few shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita he sees
Mm-hmm.
every day.
That's genius.
Yeah, so people are there like that. And the other example he gave, he said, I consider shlokas of Bhagavad Gita like my friends. And just like people meet their friends sometime in school, sometime at workplace, sometime at coffee shop, sometimes at their home, similarly I see that different friends are meeting me when he sees those different shlokas of Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Thank you.
also on a different level, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for the nice question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think we covered this paragraph, right? We'll go to the last paragraph. Anybody available to read the last paragraph?
I can continue if
Yes.
you want
Yeah,
me to.
that'll be nice. Please.
All right.
You have to start from the Kripanas.
Okay. Let's see. The Kripanas are miserly persons who waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc. in the material conception of life. One is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children, and other members, on the basis of a skin disease. The Kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death, or the Kripana thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals who take care of children also. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the causes of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him, still, on account of he could not he could not discharge the duties. He is therefore asking Lord Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, to make a definite solutions. He offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and the disciple are serious, and now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple for understanding the Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad Gita is stated in the Gita itself. And yet, foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna's within and without. And one who has no sense of the understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand Bhagavad Gita.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So there are a few things here which we'll have to unpack. So we'll start with the beginning. So in the beginning, the point is mentioned about Kripana or miserly people. So miserly people means those, as we already discussed, who are not focused on spiritual advancement, and the focus is how to make the material life comfortable. Now, in a good society or in a civilized society or in a society in the mode of goodness, we'll see that there will be slight balance about morality, taking care of others, helping, spirituality. All of these things will be there to some degree. But then there are other societies where mode of passion is more prominent, and in that you will have some attachment with the family, society, country, but spirituality actually goes way down. And then there will be another society where it's so much ignorance is there that people are only focused on themselves. They will have no affection for the family, they will not have affection for the society, no affection for the country, no affection for anybody. They just are focused on how to get their own selfish needs met, you know. So from the highest level, which is where you have some people who may be having some mode of goodness, some affection towards, family, society, and doing some spiritual activity, to the mode of ignorance, which is the worst. In all these categories, till the time the focus is not, the goal is not spiritual life up to be have advancement in spiritual life, it is actually not very helpful. But when we have that as a goal, that spiritual life has to be advanced, and then we use all the other things, our affection for family, society, country, as an offering to the Lord, then that is perfect. But if we don't have that offering to the Lord and we are only focused on affection of family, society, and country, then we will have actually land up in this situation where Arjun is, where we are perplexed. We are not able to figure out whether to focus on doing my duty of giving justice to the society, community as a Kshatriya, or to show my love for my family members, because he's considering Duryodhan as his family member. He's considering Bhishma and Drona as somebody who is Swajan, who's my people. So Prabhupada in this particular paragraph is explaining that attachment to family members actually is something which can be a hurdle or a hindrance in the life of Arjun. And if we have a Kripana mentality, then this can be an obstacle in advancement in spiritual life. On the other hand, if one has a mentality which is broad-minded, where one is actually wanting to serve the whole society, not wanting to just serve his own family members and his own friends, but actually having a whole world as their own family, that is the mood of a sannyasi, of a broad-minded person who has dedicated himself for the service of everybody. So that is a very, very advanced platform where one is actually able to give the knowledge to others, help others in so many different ways, especially spiritually. Um, Ultimately, the Guru is Krishna. Vande Krishna Jagat Guru. And everyone who may take a role of a Guru, they are actually representing the teachings of Krishna. But sometimes some people, they will say, hey, Krishna does not say, does not want you to surrender to Krishna, but surrender to that which is within Krishna. Like sometimes they talk these things, and Prabhupada is highlighting that these are word jugglery. This is nonsense. Krishna, within Krishna, all these things doesn't make sense. We have to understand that the Supreme Lord is actually the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita. He shows his Virat Roop to Arjun, which will be coming, and Arjun surrenders. In this shloka, Arjun is completely surrendering to Krishna. He's taking shelter of Krishna. He's actually seeking the guidance and mentorship and counseling from the Lord. And if one has that mood and that approach, then Bhagavad Gita teachings will be revealed to us, both from within as well as from outside. People will who are going to be able to help us in this way will be connected by the Lord. So this is how this particular interaction with Arjun and Krishna, which was previously in the beginning was like friends. Krishna and Arjun are friends, but now Krishna is accepted as the guru, as teacher of Arjun, and Arjun is saying, I'm your disciple, please instruct me. From this shloka onwards, you will see Krishna's exchange to Arjun will change, and Krishna will actually take a role of really guiding Arjun in in a more, you can say, direct manner. Prior to that, Arjun was speaking, Krishna was listening, Krishna was putting some points in the beginning of the second chapter. But now, this shloka onwards, real knowledge will be flowing from the mouths of Krishna. So I'll stop here. I'll see if anybody else has any questions, any reflections, any points. Was it clear what we just discussed here in this shloka?
I just have one question.
Please.
So if you could explain a little bit more the unborn within Krishna, that particular from
So
where
this is in one of the Bhagavad Gitas. One person had put a commentary stating to one of the shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita. He said in that shloka it says Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. So Krishna is saying, if you come to my Sharan, then I will take away all your sins. And the commentator says you don't have to surrender to Krishna, but the unborn within Krishna. Now, Prabhupada is pointing it out that there is no such thing as unborn within Krishna. This is basically, in other words, he's speculating and putting things which are not there in Bhagavad Gita to give his own ideas some form. You see? So that's why Prabhupada mentions here in quotes, saying that this sort of thing means that they are foolish. They don't know what is being talked about Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Prabhupada says, yet foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. Does it make sense?
Yes, I think so. So when he says does not need to submit as a person, so as a person, is he implying to we, us, the disciple, or is he talking about the
So
Krishna as a person?
that's a good question. So Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and when we were discussing previously, the Supreme Lord is approached by some people as Nirakar, Brahman. And in that form of Nirakar Brahman, they don't understand that this is one aspect of the Lord. Devotees understand that Nirakar Brahman is one aspect, personal form of the Lord where he is actually having loving reciprocation with the devotees is another form of the Lord. These are different manifestations or realizations of the Lord. The Lord is there as Brahman, as Paramatma, and as Bhagavad. But some people, they only think God is Nirakar. He's not, they don't even understand that Krishna is God.
Abstract.
Yeah, they say it's an abstract, and they don't understand Krishna as God. They say Krishna was a very nice person. He told the Bhagavad Gita, and Brahman comes as Krishna. Or they may say, they say different ways to take people get distracted. But Prabhupada is saying no, love for Krishna is reciprocated. Just like a person can reciprocate with your emotions, your feelings, like a mother and a child, for example, they can have exchange of love. Similarly, that exchange of love can be happening between the Lord and the devotees. So that love is the highest.
Mhm.
Does it make sense? So
Yes.
from that standpoint, Krishna is a person who can have personal exchanges with his devotees.
Hmm. Okay, I get it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else wants to ask anything or share anything? Or if I missed anything, please fill it. Okay, so I think we'll stop here. Thank you very much, everybody, for